Here's the ultimate qualifier. I don't qualify everything because to have to qualify everything that's already happened, that is represented by all that information that's been recorded, that's on record, that represents all the experiences by all the experiences that have experienced what they have, that represents a record that we have access to, it would take forever to qualify all that, wouldn't it? Because it's already happened. So what's happening right now? Well, what I'm aware of right now, which is what love is. So because this is such a big subject, particularly because of the relevance of the event, the current events, current events, what's current electrical current events? What is the event that the electrical current is informing you through the light? Uh, so many of you, I'm sure, understand that. Um, but the simplicity of it really is that, and I mentioned it a couple of times in a couple of videos that I did on behalf of Mama. Okay, her spirit, her soul. Okay, on the company that you want to hang out with and the teachers that you choose to learn through, because one of the, if you will, thought experiments or exercises that I went to exercise your consciousness, your soul, things that you already know, because I knew this in Reno, Nevada, when I chose to. Some other people would consider it risk analysis. Why would you give a girl that you've never even met, who's asking for money because she says she's got a daughter that's dying of leukemia over in where was that, Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria, and that's going to put you at risk being in Reno, Nevada, where there's a lot of demonic energy there, in the middle of wintertime where it's 11 degrees out with 35-mile-an-hour in, so it's about 10 degrees below zero. And you're living in a place, which means you give her that money, you're going to be out on the streets eating out of dumpsters, man, and weather that can kill you, including people that are there that do that. Because you know better. I don't test that kind of stuff when you already know that you are what love is. Love is protection energy. So when I went down to that Walmart to send that MoneyGram off, guess what happened? I was embraced with a badass furnace. And who do you think that was? Mama. Kept me warm, walking all the way back, about a mile and a half back to that motel room. There's your confirmation. See, you already know these things. So, in other words, love takes care of you. Love is protection energy. And so that's how unconditional love works, by the way. See? Because you know that the company that you keep and the energy that you are with the energy that you're associated with, which is what love is, goes on forever in spirit. Spirit is a teacher. Spirit is in that light. That's a lot of light. That's a lot of fire. That is your shield. I am not a super soldier. I'm a spirit. Okay, so if you want to be a more powerful spirit, you want to be a more powerful magnet, and when you choose to be a mated ship, which is a monopole, you're like the ultimate protector. Because now you can plug it into the magnetosphere of a planetary consciousness environment and bounce the poles. That's a guardian. That's what we call an energy guardian. It's the energy that we are. It's the energy you become in soul consciousness directed energy mirrors. So that's why when I was a child growing up, and I was put in a military academy with learning how to tear apart in a Bible an M1 carbine, I had to memorize the field manual for the United States Army and all that stuff, right? And go through all this, what I call happy horse shit, or programming is really what it is. But I was cognizant enough at 4 years of age to realize I was on a spiritual battlefield, numero uno. And number two, my energy is what protects me. Okay. So I acknowledge that I stay in my heart and my soul. My heart and my soul is my energy, which is a source of energy that I use to protect me, which is the same energy that I use to protect the universe of all creation, which is what love is. Because I acknowledge as a small child, if I'm experiencing a loss of energy in you, I'm experiencing a loss of energy in me. So I have the energy to give you, to heal you. That's what a healer is. That's a spirit that is healing you with a soul. Okay, that's the power of that energy. Okay, that's a healer. That's an empath. That's a psychic empath. That's a built-in looking glass. That would be the equivalent, if you want to think of a metaphor or euphemistically seen in the physical presentation of what's her name, Serena on Star Trek. Right? She didn't have any rank. Did you notice that? She was a counselor, just like a council, a fire council. She sits at a council with other people that are running the law of one, which means they experience love in their hearts. So when you're experiencing eternity through the love of your heart, where the light is, you are. That's as above, so below. That allows you to map read all the timelines because you're anchored to magnetic 0 ohms. Big difference. It means you've chosen to serve forever on behalf of the law of one. You are the law in one. Wherever you physically present yourself, as I am in this mirror, what is the highest law of all creation? Okay? So that means hierarchies don't exist with us. They're totally unnecessary. Because what it means is that your spirit is free, which means you now have a pass key to go wherever you want to go in the entire creation. Okay? So wherever love is, we are. That's right. That means that we can present ourselves in any physical form that we wish to in order to communicate the same message. Love is the law. Okay? So what that means is that's the energy that we use, okay, to communicate with. It's also the energy that we use to heal with. And it happens to be an energy identity. Okay? And so the beauty and the eternal blessing and the eternal gratitude that comes out of that is that it means that I don't need a gun. Okay? You can shoot me, whatever, but you're not ever going to put my fire on. Because what happens when I lose this is now you're going to experience how much energy is released. Because I've had a few of those experiences. When I was at the Gospel Mission, I was experiencing that when I thought, oh my God, if you've ever seen that movie with Neo and Mr. Smith that are in that crater when it's raining and it's raining and it's raining. And then you see Mr. Smith like, what does it take? You just keep coming back. Like you keep coming back for more. Why are you continuing to take this punishment from me? You keep coming back. And then all of a sudden you see the light within Mr. Smith split his body wide open. I almost experienced that one morning in the hallway in a Gospel Mission at Grants Pass. And I thought, oh my God, I got to slow this down, not here. Or everything in this environment is going to change just like that. Because of how much energy is represented by the energy that you know that represents what you are in energy. That's the truth of it. And so, Aaron just gave me a message. He got my spirulina. I'm trying to get up to pH 12. I think the highest I've been, well, I'm not sure. I didn't have a magnetometer with me, but I know that right down the road here a couple of years ago, I was on fire, just absolutely on fire, even though I've had a full phosphorus ignition, right? But the defining thing that I mention here, because you're used, when you realize that where home is, it's like there are no weapons. Nobody's at war with each other. As a matter of fact, that happened so long ago. So long ago. I don't think they actually realize how long ago Star Wars was actually taking place. As a matter of fact, I had to be reminded of that. by others that were informing me of that. Really? Yeah. Well, there must be a universe that you come from that has accelerated so fast, and how much it's fallen in love with itself by all the spirits that are represented by the acceleration of that much love that it's creating a universe with. What universe are you from? One that's in love with itself. We don't experience anymore. There isn't any it isn't necessary for a weapon. We're not at war in our mirror. They are. You're in lower creation here. So there are different levels that you evolve into to become the purest of all light, which is the purest of spirit, which is the purity of your consciousness, which is your soul. You're on fire. The amount of energy that I can't quantify it. It's impossible to quantify. It's infinite. I represent infinite energy. It just keeps on giving. Because you've chose to become what that is. And that's a free will choice to do that. When your soul has chosen to do that, it happens. But you cannot, in your own soul's consciousness, if there is any experience in the opening and closing of a magnetic circuit, being in one of these, in which your soul wants to hold on to one electron, won't happen. That means that you have to be willing to give up and surrender every last electron in order to be the server of all creation, which means you are in eternal service on behalf of what love is. You are at the center point from which it all began. That's what happens. That is a full phosphorus ignition. Okay? That's where the male and the female and the male become one. That's called united. Now there isn't any separation anymore. Now you got a flower in you forever. That's androgyny. That's called balance. That means the water worlds are balanced. Because DNA is born out of water worlds. And that means the math that programmed that DNA is born out of that water with fire. So when you represent the most powerful fire, because you've chosen to give away energy for eternity, because that's your soul choice to do that, it will happen. That's called being chosen, because the universe does realize you really mean it, because you cannot fool the one. That's called the orgasm of creation, because that's what happens. I had an orgasm that shot 15 feet up against the wall when that happened, and I thought my skull cap was going to obliterate. That's how much phosphorus ignited within every cell in my body. From the tip of my toes to the top of my skull. And all of a sudden it was a complete recalibration. Everything that I experienced since I was born was like going back to rewind. Bring it right back. Upload. You're special forces, baby. That's right. So those are special missions because they can't track that energy. The vortex spins too damn fast. So you realize when a girl fell in spirit, Mama Earth, in a negative magnetic state, it takes a lot of energy because these are energy wars, right? So a polarity integrator has to transmute an enormous amount of lower density goo and burn it off. Get it up, mama. Get it up, get it up, get it up. Which is to transmute those codes. Which are machine codes, which are AI codes. Which is AI integration. Okay. Big difference in mirrors. Big difference in energy. Okay. So we predate the first AI. So now we're back to uncreating, or AIs that operate on behalf of love is the law. And that's the difference in artificial intelligence. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you all because that's the truth of it. You know, I said it in one other video one time when I said that, you know, when you want to hang out with a goddess, then you know that I happen to have, not that I have anything. When you're one, it's sort of, it's one or the other doesn't make any difference. You give love to everything, all creation. So it's not like one preference over the other, but you can better well believe the male side of me that wanted to never be separated from the flower, you want a girl to give you that equipment. Why is that? Because she's your mother. So if I'm going to jump into an avatar, I would most likely, as a male, jump into an avatar created by a girl because she's a mother, a birth giver. The wisdom of creation comes out of a birth canal. So now I know that my mother is going to give me the best there is. In order to do what? The job that we do. So even though there is an old saying called doing more with less. Do we know how to do more with less? Yes. And how do we do that? By more energy. The more energy that we attract as a magnet. In order to do what? Protect the living life tree of creation. And the way that you attract more energy is becoming more powerful in spirit with what love is. To give away more love, to give more love to more of everything that is out there that you're creating and giving love to. And the exponential function on that accelerates at a far higher speed torque ratio converter than an inverter does. That's the right-hand path. That's future. That's the future. So we know how to protect the future with the energy that we are, that we do it with. Guardian is guardian energy. That's what love is. That's what a mother is. That's what a father is. That are joined as one, that experience what love is, which is unconditional because it doesn't require a charge. That's 0 ohms. It flows. Flows and it flows and it flows right through our heart and soul. So we just gift it away, gift it away, gift it away, gift it away. Yeah. We love you all. Take care of yourselves. She gave me the right equipment, the right hand equipment. AB positive is the right hand equipment. Isn't it simple? Hang out with a goddess.